Mr. Chairman, Nananom, regional and district directors from the various institutions that are around, CEOs and managers of the various companies that have been able to come, invited guests, the media, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. When I was invited, I was told that some politicians will be around. I was very glad that such a noble program, they will be around, and some of the concerns will be raised so that the policy makers will be able to pick it up and formulate certain policies that will assist the youth that you want them to go into agriculture. But I know the media is here, so they'll pick them up and let them know it. Empowering the youth to go into agriculture is a very important issue that should be supported by all, both government and private sectors. In Ghana, Mr. Chairman, the way forward for economic freedom is farming. That is agriculture and forestry. Why am I saying this? There's no way that Ghana can export technology to these developed countries and get money. But God, in His own wisdom, has given us land that we can cultivate certain crops that these developed countries can never cultivate, but they need them. That is why we need to direct our energies toward that so that we'll be able to actually get the needed financial freedom that we want. The theme for this year's Farmers' Day celebration, which will be held on the 1st of December 2023, that is Friday, is delivering smart solutions for food security and resilience. Mr. Chairman, it's very, very important. When we started planning for food and job in 2017, by 2019, food was in abundance in the country. But when the rain ceased in the second part of 2020, and from that time, when it got to 2022, we realized that there was food scarcity. And since then, inflation started going up. And inflation rose in the excess of 54%. This year, God has been good to us. The rains have been coming in abundance, and food is now coming. And by God's grace, inflation has now come down significantly to around 25%, which shows that agriculture really plays a very important role in our economic development, and that we all should begin to think about it seriously and see how best we'll be able to actually direct our energies and effort in that direction. Mr. Chairman, these solutions can possible when the youth, which are the strength and energy, are actively involved in agricultural production. The aged people cannot be allowed alone in the place. If they are there, we cannot get these solutions being put in place. But Mr. Chairman, farming as business requires certain things at the initial stage, such as land. To go into farming is welcome. Land for farming is becoming scarce and very expensive beyond the means of these youths, because agriculture is now competing with the sectors such as estate development and mining, among others, for agricultural lands. The youth, therefore, need support to enable them to have access to this land for farming. Mr. Chairman, after getting the land, that is not all. What go into land before crops can be established, such as land development and agro inputs, are beyond these use. Since agricultural production has a longer period for recovery and this associated risk, banks prefer giving loans to those who do buy and selling to giving loans to farmers. This makes it very difficult, if not impossible, for the youth to have access to credit. Hence, foundations such as this need to be put in place to support them. Mr. Chairman, at this point, I would like to digress a bit. And I want us all, because it's very important for the nation, to follow this very carefully and start a discussion here. And I think that if we all start a discussion, it can trigger nationwide and something good can come out of it. For some time ago, Parliament passed a law allowing cultivation of Indian hemp, that's marijuana, knowing our local parlance as we of Nsamtawa, for industrial purposes. We all know, Mr. Chairman, that this herb has had a very devastating effect on these our youth that want them to go into crop farming. Those who favor this law argue that some countries such as Canada are earning huge amounts of money from processing wheat. But Mr. Chairman, we all know that there are so many crops that we can cultivate here that Canada cannot cultivate. So why are we also want to go and compete with them in cultivating this? That's having serious effect in our use. Even if we say we are going to cultivate them, we cannot sell the raw wheat and get money. We need to process it. That is where we can get the money. But the question is, do we have the capacity and the political will to even to process them? The answer is a big no. Why am I saying so? We know that cocoa has been taking very good care of the country since the Tetrahydrocannabinol brought it in the 19th century. And up to now, in the 21st century, we are still exporting the raw beans without processing it. Mr. Chairman, chocolate is a product of cocoa bean. And the chocolate market is in the excess of $100 billion. Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire produce more than 70% of the world cocoa bean. But we do not have even up to 1% of this world market in the chocolate market. So how are we guaranteed that we can process this wheat and get the money that we are talking about? There's no way that we are going to do it. So we are going to create a problem for these youth. We want them to go into agriculture. So I will plead that we all start this discussion and see that there are so many alternative crops that we can let these youth produce that will be more beneficial to the country than going to produce this wheat. Mr. Chairman, I would rather want the Parliament to enact laws that will give these youth some form of security when they enter into agriculture. They should make laws that will protect arable lands from arable agricultural land from being used for other purposes. You should create what we call, I call it the green belt, to exclude arable lands from other uses. No, these are parliamentarians, they know that when it goes to most of job opportunities for the local people, J River Farms. But these lands have been taken from this company and given to estate developers. They constructed a dam. Now when you get there, the dam is there. And they build around the dam. And I don't know what they're going to use the dam for again. Very, very unfortunate. Also, the Parliament should make laws that will mandate our state-owned financial institutions, and I'm talking about the banks that belong to Ghana, to give affordable loans to the youth when they embark on farming as business. Currently, our banks give loans that are not affordable for agricultural purposes. The interest rates are too high and repayment schedules are not conducive for farming. Agricultural loans should have at least 2 years moratorium period. That will help the farmers to be able to make good use of this money when given to them. When you grow crops, the minimum period you can harvest them to a farmer, and it says you start paying it the following month. How will the farmer get money to pay this? Certainly, no farmer will be able to do this. And that is why it's a disincentive to farming. And I think that when our parliamentarians make laws that will actually mandate these banks to set a certain percentage of their loans to be given to farmers for this purpose, it will help our youth. And then when they have any other support, that will help them to be able to actually enter into the farming, which is actually the way forward for Ghana. And we all should start actually thinking about that and talking about that to ensure that Ghana will take up its rightful position in the world map. Mr. Chairman, I'm also appealing to the traditional authorities and land owners to make lands available for farming purpose. We are launching these foundations. The youths are ready and they will come into it. But you cannot do agriculture in the air. It should be done on the land. If the land is not available to them, how will they be able to do it? So the landowners and traditional authorities, Please make land available to these youth while this foundation have been land today. Now, mining activities are destroying most of our farmlands. And not only that, even our water bodies. Now, we want to go to the bush, we have to carry water from the house into the bush. And when we were growing, you go to the bush and there's water there, you drink and it's so nice. But now we cannot do so because mining has destroyed all our productive land and our water bodies. But if not realized much from this mining to compensate for this loss. That is why we need to have serious look at it, especially the landowners and then the traditional authorities. Mr. Chairman, this trend is very worrisome because it is painting a very bad picture for the future. And if you are not careful, posterity will judge us so bitterly. And that we shouldn't allow that to happen. Showboys Foundation, which is aimed at supporting 500 youth to go into agriculture, is a very laudable idea and it should be supported by all. Mr. Chairman, I'll be very glad that this foundation will not just land it here and let it go. I'm very happy that when my director was presenting the minister's speech, you talk about replicating it in other areas. And I think that you should take it very serious. Because when we get these teaming, you go into agriculture, we have the productivity, and once you have the productivity, we'll be able to actually increase our GDP, and then the economy will be able to take good care of us. You realize that now we don't see much of productivity, and without productivity, where will the money come from? So all the time we have to go borrowing, and that also has its own consequences on the nation. I call on all and sundries to contribute generously towards this foundation to make it a success. Long live Showboys Foundation. Long live Ghana. Thank you.